or are my glasses dirty?
No, I think it's well.
I don't know. This is as good as it gets.
You wiped it down?
Yeah, I wiped it. But okay. So, Mother's Day.
It was busy.
Well, I guess first should we let them know all the details?
Sure.
Or should we make them wait
Oh,
2 weeks until
2
the video
weeks.
gets done? Yeah.
Which mean like a month?
We're feeling behind. But no, the video will be done in like 2 weeks. So,
They'll forget by then.
but I know that no one wants to wait 2 weeks to find out what happened.
We sold a lot. We sold a lot. Specifically, yesterday and the day before, we sold a lot.
And specifically at the roadside stand.
Yeah.
Too.
We may have had records at the roadside stand and at the market. On the same day. We sold so much. We sold like an insane amount of flowers. But
we sold out.
Yeah, we sold out.
Yeah.
We had some.
We still have flowers, but we sold out of flowers available to sell.
Yeah, and we're taking the day off from selling, because we have a lot to do on the farm. So it's always like really slow after a holiday like Mother's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day is our biggest day of the year. Well, Mother's Day weekend, right? Because usually it's Saturday. Saturday is the Saturday before Mother's Day is the busiest day of the year, and then the week after that is very, very, very slow because everyone already has flowers for Mother's Day. So
it makes sense to not put the effort into trying to sell 4 bouquets or something like that.
Or not even.
Yeah.
It would be like, 4 bouquets that are unsellable in the stand is more.
And you got to put enough stock in it to make it worthwhile. So, even if you sold a few bouquets, you'd have all this waste.
Yeah. We're really behind on the farm. Things are kind of falling apart a little bit.
But
I feel like we're so far apart on the camera.
It doesn't feel insurmountable amount of behind because we have an employee this year. We actually have an employee and we have some help making bouquets. So, we're gonna.
I'm like, when was the last time we did one of these live videos? Have we like mentioned that we have an employee?
We probably mentioned, but
yeah,
not a lot. Maybe once. Yeah, so it's going to take a bit of time because we are so far behind to get, caught up, and there'll probably be a lull, kind of like late spring, early summer, where there's, kind of like when, depending on what the ranunculuses do, right?
I mean, it's like, so what's happening right now is we are experiencing a record-breaking heat wave. And it's not like we're getting a weekend of record-breaking weather. It's like we're like 3 weeks into a record-breaking heat wave. It's like summer temperatures.
Yeah, full-on summer temperatures.
So
like we went to the beach yesterday.
Yeah.
The water was cold, but the beach was hot
and like bumping. It was like busy.
There was no parking spots, just like
because it was beach weather.
Summer, afternoon.
Yeah. And so, so how's ranunculus with the heat? Ranunculus is horrible with the heat.
We do have it under shade cloth in a tunnel,
which
it helps.
It does, but it doesn't change the ambient temperature of the shade, right? So what happens with ranunculus is it stops blooming. It goes dormant when it gets hot, right? So the best possible is like, it's 10 degrees, right? It's like the ranunculus is like, amazing, this is like what I'm designed for. But then it gets into summer temperatures and then it just stops. So there's some buds on our plants.
Yeah.
And if it's done. not set any more buds, and basically have us get like nothing off of them. And then the other issue, which I'm like, ugh, starting to realize, oh, Dusty, our cat is screaming at us. He wants inside.
Dusty, he'll come over.
Maybe we should go let him in, because it's a good moment to trap him.
Maybe I'll go grab him.
Oh, our cat is crazy. He like never wants to come inside, but he gets hungry at like 6 o'clock exactly. And then we can bring him inside, but if we let him back out, he'll like hide from us, and we'll have to like hunt through the dark for an hour to try to get him. Yeah, but so the ranunculus, I don't know. Like I'm just assuming they're gonna be done. And then so what normally happens is we have tulips, ranunculus, then they go into perennials, and then July is when summer annuals start normally. Dusty. His cats, this is like what he sounds like when he's just like normal talking. But
he's very dramatic.
Are you?
The other day he was drooling like crazy and we were all worried about it. And then Kaya
He's got like gunk in his eyes. You have seeds in your eyes, Dusty. Oh, the thing just dropped for a second. Here, you know what? Maybe that's my issue. Maybe we're on. Okay, we're on data now. Maybe the problem wasn't my video. Maybe the problem was my internet connection. Okay, so what's the problem? So I have this succession. I have a plan where everything lines all up. But so before this heat wave came, it was really cold, like unseasonably cold. Our crocuses bloomed 3 weeks late, right? So that's like spring was 3 weeks late in coming, and then it disappeared in like a day. So because it was so cold, it was freezing so hard, I couldn't plant anything. I couldn't plant out seedlings, I couldn't plant out like even seeds. It was too cold for them. So all those things that I was saying would be blooming in like July didn't get planted when they normally need to get planted to bloom for July, because the weather was so cold. And now, because the weather's so hot, all these things that we normally have through spring are kind of like disappearing, because it isn't spring, it's summer. And then our perennials that bloom in June, and like when I say June, it just keeps. Sorry, I'm distracted by being like, oh, was the live stream not working? Yeah, so the perennials, that when I say June, I mean they usually the ranunculus is going into the beginning of June, and then the perennials are blooming like second week, third week, for like last week of June, beginning of July, Independence Day, July 4th, we normally have blue bachelor buttons. What?
Where's the water on?
So on the main farm, I only did half of the farm.
Okay.
So if you wanted to just do the other half. Yeah, so July 4th, Independence Day, we have like bachelor buttons. We have, maybe there's a few zinnias, but, it's like scabiosa and feverfew and yarrow, right? And so those, like when I say things are blooming in June, right? Like those are like the perennials that are blooming like July 4th type thing, right? Like more like end of June. And this year, all those spring things, they didn't get planted. They're, now because of the heat, they're not growing. I'm unloading on all of you guys, because I'm kind of like, I'm stressed about it, because the perennials are budding up. My yarrow is looking like it could start blooming soon. Just it has me really stressed out for what's gonna happen if because the goal is to always have flowers to sell, and this weather could be like seriously messing up and making it so I don't have things to sell. So I'm stressed. I'm actually stressed about it. But I wasn't allowed to stress. This is my week when I'm allowed to stress about it and like, we're just like, oh my God, we have to plant everything. We have to like try to get things back. Because last week, which is what we said we were going to talk about, not just have me complain about bad weather. Last week was fully devoted to Mother's Day, all Mother's Day. And so we ended up doing a market on Wednesday, right? Because so we have an employee this year, and the plan with having an employee this year is that we're going to do Wednesday markets. Eventually we're going to train her, and then she can go do the Wednesday market. Bo, the cat catastrophe. He's bumping up against the tripod. So this year we want to do the Wednesday markets with the employee, and then Ian can do the Saturday markets, but it'll free up some more time. As we've been saying, we want to try to get into a rhythm once we get caught up on the farm of being able to do 2 videos a week. And to do that, we need a little bit more time. So having someone to help me on the farm gives Ian some more time. Having someone to do Serina jobs means that I can help Ian with the videos. So we're really excited about doing that. But because of this weather, I'm like, we need flowers to sell on Wednesdays. But I said I was going to stop complaining about that. I'm looking for Ian. Okay, so this week, Mother's Day week, which happened, we went to the Wednesday market. I think this was our first time at the Wednesday market in this season. And we've been to it before, and it wasn't very good, which is fine. Like, I expect the Wednesday market to be quiet. People weren't buying flowers because they were going to buy flowers on Mother's Day. And then we went to a new market that we've never gone to before, which is the Vernon Farmers Market, and it's on Thursdays. And Ian was really excited about it. We decided in the past that we weren't going to do the market, just because we felt like there was too much competition and not enough customers at that specific market. And it's a full day. It's like 8 to 1, like the Kelowna Farmers Market. It's a drive. Vernon is as far as the Kelowna Farmers Market is for us. So it wasn't convenient, so we hadn't done it. But Ian went down, and it was a very stinky market. Like I was kind of like, oh, maybe you'll sell $2,000-$3,000. This is the market where people can buy stuff for Mother's Day. And then he did really poorly. So then we were all stressed out, because it was like, oh no, what if flowers aren't a thing anymore? What if people aren't buying flowers? I was feeling very sorry for myself and very stressed about the weekend, but we're like, nope, we just got to stay focused. And so Nellie, our employee this year, she was here on Friday. And on Thursday, all me and her had done is just like cleaned and prepped flowers, just washing tulips, filling the coolers with tulips. And then on Friday, we also had a friend of mine came to help. And so we just like went like crazy, and I was like running around all over the place trying to get things organized for the weekend. We had to like get the roadside stand set up in a new way. There was like signage that had to get made. We made gift cards, which I didn't sell a single gift card, but I am very excited about my gift cards, and I think they will sell. People just didn't know gift cards exist, but now that they know, now I have them, so I can tell them they exist. And then I can sell some. But so they ended up making 150 $20 tulip bunches like in no time, which was amazing. And then I came in the evening and I made all these big $50 bouquets because mom deserves to get spoiled, so she needs extra large bouquets. So I made a bunch of those. And I like made more $20 bunches, and then all day Saturday I just like making bouquets. We got the roadside stand Things sold like crazy, but we still had stuff in there all through the Saturday. I ended up putting $2,000 worth of stuff into the stand, like late Sunday night, being like perfect. Because in the past, Saturdays have always been our busiest day for the Mother's Day, and people would buy stuff in the mornings of Mother's Day Sunday, but it would kind of be really dead starting around noon because everyone would be going to do like brunch or lunch or to visit with their moms. So people just weren't buying all day long. But this year, I woke up and the stand was already empty. There'd been all these early morning shoppers, and I was just like, oh, we were like out of tulips because tulips take a day to get hydrated before you can sell them. So I was doing all these like mini vases so that I could pick like ranunculus and anemones to mix with the tulips. And we just went and sold like crazy. And so now I feel a lot better because we sold a bunch of stuff. The tulips, because of the heat wave, and fair enough, like you guys don't necessarily know about this because we're working on the videos about the heat wave, but the heat wave has been causing huge issues for our tulip crop. It's been a very stressful few weeks because of the weather. And so all that stress and feeling so behind, and then like maybe not selling, it was feeling very overwhelming. But now I sold stuff. I made money. We had an amazing sales weekend. So that like pumped me up. I'm all like reinvigorated, re-inspired. I was like, that's it, Ian. Like, no more. I give up on farming. Let's be a content farm. Not actually, but but now I'm like, nope. Okay, we're doing it. Things are going to be good. It's going to be a good summer. I'm feeling really good, really happy and really excited, to be going into the new year. Let's see, someone saying going up to 82 and then 31 at night. Yeah, I wish we were getting 31 at night, because if we were, then my ranunculus would be more happy. We've been getting like, I don't know what it is. I'm only good at bragging about how hot it is in Fahrenheit, but we've been getting like high teens as overnight lows, and the ranunculus, they need kind of like to stay at the hottest kind of like 10, 12. It's been crazy weather, but the one thing I can depend on is that the weather isn't going to cooperate. And it's like last year was horrible, crazy weather of it being so cold. We ended up getting success out of it, because last spring was so cold. But because of it, the ranunculus and the anemones and all those cool weather crops did just so incredible. And so we were okay because of that. But yeah, no, the weather is really reinforcing for me the importance of having to have a plan for worst case scenario in all seasons for both sides, right? I need to make sure that the spring is planted for it either being very cold or it being very hot. I kind of need to always have half of the farm not getting the best conditions, because we're just always going to be getting these extremes. There's going to be no normal for weather. It's just going to be either extremely cold or extremely hot. And so we need to make farm plans depending on that. Ian's back.
I'm back.
Are you talking to your mom, or?
Yeah, she called. I didn't really have much time to talk to her this weekend.
Will weather being more wonky make you adjust what you planned in future years? Yeah, so that's what I basically was just saying, right? So I need to plan for the ranunculus failing, right? But I also have to plan that it could be the perfect year for ranunculus, right? So I have to hedge my bets. I have to have all the ranunculus for if it's a cold season, but I also need to have like hot weather crops ready to go in and suffer if it's cold, but thrive if it's hot, right? Because I need to kind of be ready.
I think we can figure it out. I think we can, this year we're gonna have a lull of flowers probably, but I think in future years we can stay on top of things. We're talking about having full-time help all through the winter this year, so that should really help us with our seedling game in the spring, and it should really help us go into the season with everything already taken care of, essentially. Like everything's cleaned,
yeah,
everything's arranged in proper ways, just make our life way easier. And hopefully, one of the things that we're trying to do is to be able to put out more consistent videos.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, that like part of the idea of getting Nelly is that you don't have to help on the farm quite as much, but also I don't have to. She can do jobs that I would do, so that both of us are in on the videos more.
Because we both do all parts of the videos interchangeably. One video, Serina might do the vast majority of it.
Yeah, we like to play the game of so let's do it because it's live. Okay, who do you think edited the last video that went up? Right, because it kind of bounces back and forth, but so it's fun because we always laugh because people will be like, oh, another classic Ian video, and then but it's like I would have edited it, so it's like yes. Because that's the goal, to make them consistent, right? Yeah. So we want. Oh, we got to vote for me.
1 vote, Serina. 0 votes, Ian. Oh, we're tied. We talked to one of our friends, and she said she can tell. I can tell.
Who?
I can tell, like, with the video. If I go back and watch an old video.
I mean, I can tell because I can remember. Oh, it's pretty balanced on the guesses. The last video Ian edited, but
the last 2 I've edited, and
was it the last 2?
Yeah, and
yeah, because you did that seedling tour. But we released the soil block one, which I did.
Yeah, you did the soil block one.
Okay, but so like, because Ian does a lot of the summer videos, but up until like the last vlog, I had done pretty much every video since Christmas.
Yeah. So I did Will Grand Opening be a success and COVID Catastrophe. And other than that, I might have done like a video here and there for you.
No,
there's 1 or 2 that I had to do for you.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Because you asked me to, and I did. It was like some of the...
Oh, yeah, you put B-roll into...
I edited a bunch.
Yeah.
Just like a couple of the unboxings I think I did. They're like pretty simple videos all in all. They take a little bit of time because you got to get all the B-roll together. Oh, sorry about that. But other than that, it's just watching through the and it's probably the final cut is probably only 10% shorter than what we film for those videos.
Oh, for the unboxings. Yeah, because for our vlogs, we start with like 5 hours, 8 hours, 25 hours. Like, we film a lot.
Yeah.
So they're a bit of a slog to sit down to. But the unboxings, it takes a lot of time to put all the pictures in. But, it's not...
Yep, Stu says you might drop by sometime.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, that'd be... I don't know if that's like a joke. Because he lives...
Oh, he might be back.
Yeah, because he might be, yeah. I petals in my hair?
You do have some stuff in your hair, but...
I washed my hair. I washed my hair for you guys.
You kind of had stuff in your hair for
I was days. So dirty. I told Ian, I'm like, Ian, I am so dirty that even though, you guys know what I look like in the videos. I was like, I'm like too dirty to do a live video. So before we do the live video, I need to take a shower. So I feel a lot more human.
Yeah. You look like you're,
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, my face is like all puffy. It's like hot today. I need to drink some water.
I've got like sweaty hat hair though. I'm all sweaty from tilling today.
Yeah.
We're working hard today.
I know. Okay, so there were some questions, but before we do that, like I think we should do questions. Is there anything you want to say about Mother's Day? I complained about the weather stressing me out and told them what we did for Mother's Day. But do you have any feelings about Mother's Day?
It was an emotional roller coaster because we were really down there for a while, like significantly emotional damage.
Yeah.
Emotional damage for sure. Because
it takes a lot to make me not be like positively moving forward. And I was like, you know, I had an hour of like giving up.
Yeah. And that was because sales were really bad for a while. We did, we had the heat wave made all the tulips come up at once. And so I was like, let's do 3 markets in 4 days with the tulips, because let's just try to sell as many tulips as possible. I'll go do the Wednesday market in Kelowna, the Thursday market in Vernon,
and I told them, like, I gave an overview of
So Friday night, it was like,
oh yeah, I'm distracted by the chat. I'm excited about all the eggplants in our membership.
Oh wow!
Because exciting. I know. So when you're the most special, then you get an eggplant emoji beside your name, because we think that's hilarious, and we also love eggplants.
So, there's like the stand was kind of underselling. The market
before the Mother's Day week too, right?
What did you think we were going to sell at Vernon?
I said Ian had to take $3,000 to Vernon.
and I was like, I'm not taking $3,000.
And I was tired, so I was like, okay, fine. But I think I still sent you with like
1,500 or so,
or more.
And we sold a third of it, right? So, but that can be written off as okay. It's Vernon isn't.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted by all the eggplants in the live chat.
Vernon isn't quite as like rich as Kelowna is, although it's still like in the Okanagan. It's a beautiful place, right? But it's just just has like a slightly lower income. And then the Saturday market is obviously not on a weekday, and the weekdayness changes the demographic so that it's like, only like kind of retired people, and everybody in Vernon that was coming was like, oh, my tulips are blooming right now too. Yours look lovely, and so
like our ideal customer has tulips in her garden, but she loves flowers so much that she doesn't want to pick her flowers. Oh, thanks so much, Black Dog. Glad to hear you had a successful weekend.
So,
kind of.
Yeah, so...
sorry, I interrupted. Our ideal customer was... Yeah. She has flowers in her garden, but she loves flowers so much that she doesn't want to pick them, so she buys flowers from us every week.
And one of the major, groups of customers that come on Saturdays to the market...
Yeah, Black Dog is definitely an eggplant. I have, a garden... we call it Ian's garden, but in my mind I'm like, this is the Black Dog garden, because I'll be like, yeah, because you're so generous with us, Black Dog, and Ian and I'll have conversations, and I'll be like, oh, I want to get this plant for the garden, and then we'll do these live chats, and you'll get give us some money, and I'm like, oh, look, it's in the budget for the garden. It goes in the Black Dog garden.
So one of the major customer groups is university girls, young women, who are they're kind of with a group of friends, and it's a Saturday morning, the start of a fun day or something like that. They buy flowers as groups, or one of them buys flowers. That's a pretty consistent demographic for us, and that demographic wasn't in Vernon. So the Vernon market, I was like, it's not time yet. It has a reputation for being really good from other vendors.
With veggie vendors.
Yeah, and so that could be different than flower vendors. But during the summer, when the kids aren't in school, I could see the Thursday market being better. time will tell. I want to try it in the summer sometime to see what it's like.
Well, I mean, having Nellie here, our employee, buys us more time for doing things like experimenting. But like I feel, because last year we experimented a couple times with doing a Sunday market, which is in downtown Kelowna. That's a place where like people live in condos, and it's like very like, oh, go walk around downtown. It's kind of surprising that there hasn't been a market there so far.
Well, it's been down there for a bunch of years.
Yeah, COVID kind of like messed with it, but it like there isn't a long established one.
No.
Like I think that it makes a lot of sense for us to do that market, maybe even more so than Vernon.
We sold like I think $750 when we went down there last year to it.
No, we had a day that was like 1,000 because we did 2.
No, we only did one Sunday.
No, we did 2. We did the one with when I had the bee sting and bread and butter was also there, and that was the one where we did less. But we did one before that where she wasn't there, and we did over 1,000, right? But even like there was another flower vendor at that market, and we still sold like 700.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's the idea is that maybe we just stick to Kelowna and invest in Kelowna only things,
Or I'm like, we invest into the roadside stand, right? Because I'm really excited about the roadside stand.
Oh, for sure. We sold more last year at the roadside stand than we did at the markets, and we sold more this weekend at the roadside stand than we did at the markets.
Yeah. Yeah, and people still don't know about us. People like our neighbors still aren't like, that flower. They're like, you have a flower farm? There's things to sell in that little shed, right? So it's like we still have a lot more customers that we can.
And the number of people that we need to make it like lucrative for us
is not very many.
It's not very many because if you think about
it. And then if we get it looking beautiful. Right? And then people in Kelowna, it's all planted with the flowers, and people in Kelowna are like, oh, well, I'm going to go for a drive along the lakes and pop by that stand and take pictures of myself with all the flowers. Yeah. And it becomes an event to just come and buy from us.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of potential.
Yeah, we can have the selfie station.
Yeah. And we could start doing seedlings from the roadside stand, right? Because our ideal customer wants flowers in her garden too. We already have a lot of people who tell me that they regularly drive out to us to buy our flowers from Kelowna.
Yeah.
Because they like coming and shopping with us.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know.
So
I'm just excited about the stand.
Yeah, the stand's definitely going to be exciting. Getting back to the Mother's Day thing and just. I've been talking about this a ton with Serina. I think that one of the things that we had a challenge with this year for the Wednesday market, because the Wednesday market in Kelowna was not that great, and I wanted it to be better. I didn't want it to be as good as the Saturday market, but I wanted it to be better. And the flowers that we took down there looked great, but the problem was that we had all these tulip bunches, and it would be because we were mostly growing doubles now, and it was so hot. It was 30 degrees, over 30 degrees, and it's a big parking lot, so who knows what the actual temperature in there was, but it's 30 degrees, and the bouquets have say 6 doubles and 2 singles on average, or even if it had 7 doubles and 1 single, that single tulip would blow open because it was 30 degrees. And it made the whole bouquet look like it had no life left in it, that it was tired.
Well, and part of that was that I started picking the flowers a little bit more closed because we had people complaining that they weren't open enough. Right? So it's kind of
well, anything in
damned if you do, damned if you don't when it comes to the tulips, right?
If we just ditch that 1 or 2 singles in the bouquet, which next year we're pretty much singles, you're done for tulips. There'll still be some place for some of them in landscaping.
I really like the singles in the more expensive bouquets. right? Because the singles, like, because I was putting them in the $50 bouquets, because what they do, which I don't need them to do in a tulip bunch, is they add different texture in the mix, right? So like the doubles, they're big and they're showy and they're beautiful, but then it's nice, right? The singles have that brutalist aesthetic that I really like.
Yeah.
Right? So I like working with them in the bigger bouquets, but I can also just have them in my landscaping and pull them for when I want them.
Yeah.
Right?
And so Black Dog became friends.
I know. I mean, she already was she was already part of the team, but
so yeah, I think that I could have sold more if I didn't have those blown out singles on the Wednesday market. And so that's just like a bit of a learning experience. And, you know, I felt like there's lots of really nice looking flowers that, you know, the bouquets were kind of like looking rough. And I didn't tell you this.
I mean, my feeling about the Wednesday market is if, you know, my kind of plan was it would be nice to make $750 on it.
And we sold closer to like 500.
Yeah, but even if we sell 500, because the whole idea of doing the Wednesday market is to offset the cost of having an employee.
Yeah.
Right? Having an employee is expensive. And so we're doing the Wednesday market only because it's money that we can then put towards what's going out in wages. And so, you know, even if it only if it does $500, it still serves its purpose because it still, you know, helps us out for income.
So, you know, we're optimistic.
I mean, okay, so how are you feeling now? Right? Like
now I'm feeling relieved and happy, you know, because we did sell so much. You know, the roadside stand had been slow. Like, it was the Wednesday market that was slow. The Vernon market was like, okay, that's a bummer. But, you know, in retrospect, you know, it makes sense that Vernon wasn't really that great of a market for us.
I mean, and perfect example of when I say that there's no such thing as mistakes. There's only learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? And so we learned.
And then the roadside stand being slow was like a big bummer. It's like, why aren't people pulling over? If we're open, doesn't everybody remember? Are people not going to be like coming by anymore? You know, do they not like us? Mm-mm. You know, did they watch our videos? Because, you know, people, if we're like, oh yeah, we're on YouTube, people are like, oh
yeah. We watched their videos and decided we don't like them anymore. So I'm not going to buy their flowers.
Yeah. And then to have this crazy influx of people and lots of people expressing like, oh, you're open, I can't wait to start buying flowers from you again. Or people being, you know, like the grocery store apparently was directing people over to us because they were out of flowers. And like a florist shop was directing people to us because they were out of flowers. We had a lot of flowers. We were like,
yeah, I was like, there's no world that I'm selling out. I'm getting so many so that we have extras left over. And then we still sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
someone's asking if we had dancing pandas.
Oh no, we didn't.
We're starting to age out of dancing pandas.
I hope
unfortunately.
Not. Sam's got some good moves.
They're getting to the age where they're like starting to be like a little bit more like.
Maybe Leah would, but I don't think Sam's gonna be out of the. Look at me, I'm dancing like a crazy boy. Stage.
Black Dog's like saying she has like a friend who does like she has a CSA, but then she has like hair bands that she sells for like grad and like dance recitals and stuff.
Yeah, and you've got those boutonniere things.
Yeah, and we experienced something really similar with the roadside stand.
I'm gonna go inside and
to check.
To deal with the kids for a while because I gave them some.
Okay. Are you coming back or?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is me signing off, everybody. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later.
Yeah, no, so that's one of the things that we like about the roadside stand is we want it to be really convenient for everyone. We want it to be like grocery store flowers, but better. right? So when someone is like, oh, I should grab a bouquet for this, I should grab a bouquet for that, they just stop by the stand. And because because we have the information that we had from last year, there's like patterns that I started to see. But there was like a children's dance recital weekend. Like randomly we had like all the flowers disappeared on a Thursday, and it was like, whoa, like what's going on? We're selling an insane amount. And it was like these dance recitals where people were buying them to give them like as gifts, like congratulations. And then we get a big rush on the bouquets for grad. So we don't, right? Because like I'm a little bit, I don't want yeah, Ian telling me to get like stop, get up. Sorry. We the chat is always very distracting for me. I don't want to do like corsages and boutonnieres and hair accessory pieces because they're really finicky. It's kind of the same idea as why I'm resistant to doing weddings. Everything that we've done is for a system of being able to quickly make a lot of lower priced bouquets. So I can actually, on my own, no one helping me, I can do $15, $20 bouquets an hour. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit here. And so that means I can arrange $300 an hour, right? So when I think about what I want to do for work, I keep that in mind that I can do $300 an hour. So a wedding bouquet, because I've made a few, they take me an hour to make, but I can't charge $300 for it. You know, and it's not like even though it is a single bouquet instead of 15 bouquets, obviously 15 bouquets is you know, a lot of flowers, but the wedding bouquet actually will have a lot of more expensive flowers, a lot of flowers that, you know, take more time to handle, things that actually cost me more money to grow maybe than some of these like simple things like yarrow, right? Like I can get a ton of yarrow off of a plant, which is the reason why I can use it as a low cost filler into my $20 bouquets, which I can then sell and actually make good money on. Whereas, you know, if I sell a peony for $5, you know, I'm like not actually making as much money necessarily on that, even though I'm selling it for way more money. You know, so it's like, you know, there's these things, and because I make these lower price bouquets, you know, like my pricing is like maybe a little skewed. But yeah, so like I did boutonnieres before to like, there's like thunder. I'm like, is there a storm coming? But yeah, so boutonnieres, they kind of took me like a half an hour. There was a lot of prep work, a lot of handling. And I can't really sell them for a lot of money because I've kind of established myself as this like grab and go grocery store type experience. So, you know, I steer away from doing that kind of work. So that I can direct people into the work that I've already kind of set the whole system up for. But yeah, so we didn't get a lot of orders for like grad. This is all going back to having some actually really big weekends that are random and you wouldn't expect at the roadside stand, like a dance recital weekend. So we don't sell a lot for the grad weekend or prom. Prom's the word for it. We don't sell a lot for prom, right? Because people, that's like when you're ordering corsage, that's more of like the florist work. But we sell a crazy amount of these $20 bunches for grad because people bring them as like a congratulations on your graduation gift to the grad ceremony. And it's also, you know, that's a good weekend to be able to have the dried flowers too, because the dried flowers are really popular with the younger generation. And then they can be out of water. People don't have to worry, and they still have here's the bunch as the gift. So yeah, the roadside stand has a lot of potential. But okay, Ian's gone. I know, like I was watching the chat, but let's do questions. Okay, so I'll do like questions for like 20 minutes or so. The without Ian here, like I can't. It's really hard for me to read the chat. So if you have a question, put it in capitals so that I can see that it's a question, and then you guys can keep like talking and everything in the chat. I can go for the thing. Okay, so let's see here. How are your lilies? Okay, so lilies are the thing that I think is going to save my butt in the like, oh no, like everything is blooming so early. Over the years, I have planted lilies and then just left them in the farm, because so with lilies, flower farmers, they succession plant them, right? So you get lilies, you have them in your fridge, you pull them out every 2 weeks, every week, plant more lilies, and then you always have lilies all year long. That's why it's easy for you to get lilies for any time of the year as a florist, right? You go into a grocery store, they're gonna have a bouquet that has like lilies and eucalyptus, like all these just basic standard things that our farmers are producing it year round. So I've done that at different time periods where I've like planted them out, but then they're like in the farm and I'm like, whatever, like I'm not gonna like pull the bulbs out. So now I have like 3 or 4 beds. I have like 2,000 or 3,000 lilies just scattered randomly all over the farm because they come back. And I have enough of a mix. I have like Orientals and I have Asiatics. And so they bloom in a different window when they're perennialized into the gardens. And then different colors bloom earlier and different colors bloom later. And so because of that, I probably have a month of focal flowers that's planted, and they're going to bloom on a normal timeline. So I have enough of these random lilies everywhere to be able to save my butt from this bad heat wave stress. And then I forgot to order lilies last year, right? Because like lilies, like you order them like now, and I was like, I want a few more lilies. And so I bought some. I was in Costco and it was like, oh, like spring bulbs are here in Costco. And so I bought like enough to do a 400 bed of lilies. And I was like, okay, like I'll just put these in, just add them into the mix. Because I was like worried about like having enough lilies. So I have those too, and they're coming up, and they're a little bit delayed of my perennialized lilies. So they're going to kind of like help me out too. Okay, so there's some questions here. Black Dog asked, do folks ever come to take photos of your farm? So we... Okay, I'm just going to pause so I can get through the questions here. So photos on the farm, we don't do that because we don't... So if we have people on the farm, like if someone was like, oh, I'm a photographer, like event photography, where they bring clients on to take pictures of them in the flowers, we need insurance for that. That's the type of thing we'd have to change our insurance policy for to have coverage for it. So we haven't done it because we haven't wanted to do the work that would take to do it. And then the other thing is we're really not set up for photos. Our system is like a veggie farm system. So the veggie farmers grow on 4-foot beds. And the 4-foot beds are a 30-inch growing space and then an 18-inch walking path, which is great for lettuce. But when you grow flowers, what that means is like you can't even walk through it. It's just like a wall. Like I'm sure you guys have seen in the videos. Like I'm like Ian's not allowed in, no one's allowed in. Like it's like takes forever for me to go in it. I haven't changed the system just because it's set up that way. And I'm like, and I've just been slowly more flowers, less veggies. Most flower farmers would have like, they do like a 36-inch bed is really common for flowers. With veggies, you want that skinnier bed because you lean across at ground level. But with flowers, you're standing up and it's just like reaching in, so you can do a wider bed. But most people would have like 3-foot bed, 3-foot path at the narrowest. And lots of farms will have a 3-foot bed and then a 6-foot path. They'll have like grass, and they'll have it wide enough that like a lawnmower can go through. And so having a setup like that is great for people to do photos, because now you have a spot for people to go in and to take the actual pictures. Whereas my farm is just like, it's like, no, don't touch it, you're gonna wreck everything. So it's just, it hasn't made sense for me to do it. But we know someone who is a photographer, and I haven't talked to them about this, so but yeah, I know someone who's a photographer, and I've considered potentially doing like farm tour days where we get event insurance. We have insurance for the day for people to be on farm, and then we could hire them as a photographer, and then we could pre-sell mini photo sessions. So it could be like, oh, come for a 30-minute photo shoot, you get 5 pictures at the end of it. We could hire him to do the photography work, and then we could offer the service, while being an opportunity for him to kind of do some photo work. So it's something we've thrown around the idea. It's just, some things are more complicated than you think they would be when you first think of them. And anything about having people on the farm is one of those things, just because we want things to be safe. We want things to be insured. We just make everything easy. Okay, let's see. What do you wish you had planted for this hot spell? That's a great question. What I wish I had planted is, I wish I wouldn't have gotten sick and like messed up planting all of my hot weather crops. Normally I start them like super early because I want to get a jump on it. And this year I was like, no, you know what? There's no rush. I always plant them way too early. And now we are like mid-May. There's all these hot weather crops that I could have been planting out, had these big seedlings. They could be ahead. But because I didn't do that, I'm kind of starting a month later on these hot weather crops. And those are the things that I want to come as quickly as possible. So, the way I'm trying to kind of save it is I'm going through and I'm looking for things that are the quickest to bloom possible, because I'm like, normally I stack the farm full of things that are 100 days to bloom, 120 days to bloom, but that's, at this point, that's like fall, right? So I'm like, can I think of things that are 60 days to get some stuff for summer? So I'm like, sunflowers. We bought a bunch of glads. We have a glad unboxing coming, but I'm gonna start like a bunch of glads. They're about 60 days. Or they're faster than a lot of stuff. But I'm just like, I gotta get all the summer planted. I need to give up on spring and move straight to summer, because that's the weather that we have. Have you had any Famis Gabiosa germinate this year? Yeah, so they're a pain. They're a pain to get to germinate. The way that I've gotten them to germinate is I get them really wet. But I did start some. So my seed source was, I used my old Fama seed that I got from Johnny's from last year. I used that up, and then I had Fama seed from this year from Ball. But most companies all get their seed from the same place. So, I didn't have any, I always have bad germination on it, about 50%, but I did get germination. And exciting news, this was, I heard that the Famis Gabiosa wasn't perennial. I planted it in the first place because I was like, it'll come back every year. And people are like, no, it's not perennial, it dies. But most of my Famis Gabiosa from last year have come back, and they're very happy and very healthy. So I'm really excited about them for this year. Are you planting the Rosa lilies? I don't know what that is exactly, but so probably not. Rose lilies, maybe? So what I mainly plant is the Asiatic lilies because they are unscented and they come in bright colors. And so I like the bright colors. The bright colors sell well. And Ian hates the smell of lilies. I planted like 100 lilies one year, oriental lilies, and they all bloomed. And Ian was like, I refuse to go outside. It smells so bad. And he's like, don't leave the door open. The smell's getting in the house. He really hates them. So I take pity on him, and I only have a few of them scattered around. I have them in like 25 blocks. You know, at this point, I probably have like 200 or 300 oriental lilies around the farm. But they're not all in the one spot near the house. And so like he's dealt, but you know, for the sake of our marriage, I don't grow too many of the scented ones. Okay, someone's asking about Fatty. So Fatty passed away. The story with Fatty is that when we moved here like 6 years ago now, Fatty came with the farm, him and his brother. They told us, the owners were like, oh, we have these like 2 old barn cats, and you know, they've lived in the barn their whole life. They're, you know, they're barn cats. Like, barn cats are different than house pets, right? And so they're like, well, we have them. Like, would you guys be interested in keeping them so they can stay in the barn? They're like, so we don't have to relocate them. And we're like, yeah, we love cats, more the merrier. We want all the cats. And so Fatty came with Fatty and Garfield, or Sylvester, that was his name. When Sylvester and Garfield came with the farm, but when we moved here, he was already, they didn't even really know how old he was, but they're like, he's 10 plus when we moved here. So he was already like, you know, in getting older for a cat. And when we first moved here, like the first year, his brother died. And he was definitely not a barn cat. He's a house pet. All he wanted was pets. All he wanted was to be inside the house. But he had to be a barn cat. And fair enough. Our barn is like, you know, like is a house. It's not like he was like living outside. But he peed on everything. He was a pain in the butt, because I'd feel sorry for him because he'd be lonely in the winter because we'd spend less time in the outbuilding over the winters, and so he'd be lonely. So I'd let him come in the house, but then he'd just like pee on everything. We have no curtains in our house because Fatty had like peed on all the curtains and like destroyed them. I never could get all the cat pee out of it. So you know, I'd take pity on him. He'd come in, he'd destroy the house with cat pee. He'd get, no, Fatty, you have to go live in the outbuilding. But he'd been slowing down for the last few years. He was a very aggressive cat. Him and Bo was like a baby when we moved here. But he was still aggressive, even like when we moved here with Bo being like a kitten, whereas normally cats, like, you know, they kind of get along with kittens fairly well. And in the last 2 years, he'd been like a lot less aggressive. He like, him and Bo weren't, he would be fine with Bo sleeping on the same couch as him. You know, he'd kind of, you know, which in an elderly cat is like a sign that, you know, they're starting to feel their age. So he died last fall, you know, kind of like when the weather kind of shifted into colder weather. But it wasn't a surprise. We knew it was coming, you know, we were happy to have him for as long as we did. But yeah, poor Fatty, you know, he lived an amazingly long life for a barn cat. You know, he did pretty good. Do you still use Local Line? Yeah, so I still really like Local Line. We like our problem. So we used Local Line mainly for a seedling sale. And it was amazing, and I really liked it. And Local Line set up a new system following when we used it, or these words don't make sense. I'm sorry. Ignore those words. Local-line had a new cost structure from like the last time we made a video about Local-line. So Local-line actually has like their lowest cost is like a pay per use type thing. And so instead of having to pay, $50 a month to have Local-line, or I don't know, I don't think it was $50 a month, but you know, it was a chunk of money. It was like $25 or $30 a month to be able to use it. To make it so it's easy for people who have small amount of sales to use it, they made it be like a per sale system, kind of like how Etsy is, if anyone uses Etsy for selling. And so if you were only using it for a little bit, it made it a lot more affordable, and it also made it a lot more affordable for if you were like me and you used it for a seedling sale, but then you didn't want to, like, you didn't have to pay for all the rest of the year when you just used it for the times when you needed it. But the plan was always to get it set up to use it to be able to do some sort of special orders. And I really like Local-line. Local-line is amazing for all of the back end. You know, it's designed by farmers for farmers. So the thing that's so great about it is it creates all these like picking reports. So it'll take in all your special orders, and then it'll be like, hey, you need to have 50 bunches of carrots and 35 bags of lettuce and 25 zucchinis, right? And it'll generate for you a picking list. So you can take that, you can go out into the field, harvest what you need for what has sold, you can have it in your processing place, and then so it'll generate a total, like the work that needs to be done, and then it'll also be like, here's all the individual sales that are done for a pack list, right? So it makes it, those type of reports make a really great program to use for doing a CSA. But the one thing that I always thought was like a little problematic about it for flower farmers is it's just not super attractive. It's like an amazing sales platform, but it is a little bit, it's great for a CSA. It's great for veggie sales, but it's a little clunky for a florist, right? And so many flower farmers, the marketing to customers is more along the lines of a florist, right? So to get a web page that looks more like what people who special order flowers for occasions are used to dealing with, it's just it doesn't have the same look, right? And so our plan for this year was that we're going to build, over the winter, I was supposed to build a website, but instead I was like very tired from the year, and so I didn't get it done. I ran out of time in the winter because after the season I had to sit on my butt for like a month and do nothing. But what I wanted to do was sit on my butt and make a website, and I didn't do that. But we're now working with Squarespace. Squarespace is like sponsoring videos on our channel for the entire year. Like kind of every 2 weeks we have a sponsorship with Squarespace, and they were what we were looking at to use. They were kind of like what we're thinking of doing, because I am very, very bad at websites. I've tried to make like WordPress websites before in the past, and I'm not a tech person. That's why I love Local-line too. I was like, I can use this. I was like, I've tried to make a website and I can't, but I can use Local-line. And so if I can use Local-line, anyone can use Local-line. So I really loved it for how easy it was. But what I want to build to be able to have special order, to be able to offer an a la carte like wedding package. It's like, do you want to order bulk blooms? I want a more the farm doesn't have a web page, right? The farm doesn't even have a social media presence, right? We're where you can't eat the grass on social media because I'm just too busy to be able to have a farm like social media and the You Can't Eat the Grass social media. So yeah, so I've been meaning to build myself a red roof family farm, looking like a florist page. So when people search us, we have a searchable presence, and then we can also have sales on it. And I was going to do it over the winter, and I wasn't going to use Local Line. I was going to use Squarespace, and now we're sponsored by Squarespace. And one of the things that I get as part of my deal is I get like a free Squarespace website. And so I'm like, oh, perfect. But things have, sorry, I saw something. Things have just been like too crazy. So I haven't been able to take advantage of the fact that I have the ability to get a free Squarespace webpage. But yeah, so that's, if you're a flower farmer, maybe you want to build more of a florist landing page. But if you're a farmer, I highly recommend the Local Line still. You know, if you're doing like the CSA kind of like just for the back end. Okay, rose lilies are double oriental lilies, which that's what I thought. And like a lot of them are scented. And so that's why I don't do them. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I agree about Local Line being less attractive. That is my struggle with it as a florist. Yeah, but like I will say that, you know, the pay per use thing does make it really attractive for if you're just starting up. You know, it like and it like, you know, like it's one of those things, right, where it's like, you know, and this is the struggle that I had with the Local Line. Like I liked it. I liked the program. I liked how easy it was, and I really liked the back end report. But I knew that we're going more and more into the flowers, and I was like, I could use it for now, or I could just like get the actual website going. You know, and like, you know, the Squarespace is pretty, like I've started like playing around with it, and it's really easy, and like it does do the sales, and it like the price point on the Squarespace isn't super high. It is still fairly affordable for being able to have like something that's going to function as a presence, and also they can purchase through it. Yeah, you know, it's tricky, right? It's I thought that Shopify was really smart when they paired up with with Instagram, so that you didn't even need to have a web page, right? Like Instagram has that program where people can buy straight off your Instagram. You know, and you know, that's a great program for just getting started, right? Like you can use your social media to sell everything, and then just have a built into the social media sales portal. You know, that makes life easy. But you know, it's infrastructure, it's business infrastructure, right? And so, you know, it's kind of, it takes time to build it, but once you have it, then it's really nice. You know, it's like, you know, what kind of business are you building? What is it that you need it to do, right? You know, like a great parallel is what I was saying about the farm being set up on the 4-foot beds. And, you know, it's a great system for doing these high intensity market gardens for veggies, but it's not necessarily a great system for flowers, but everything's set up for that system because we put the infrastructure in place. So now I'm still using it, even though, you know, maybe it would be a better system if I put more space in, but, you know, just to change it is difficult. So it's hard sometimes to know what to start with, right? Because you are going to kind of get stuck with it, you know, but you're better off to do it and change it than to never do it at all, which is, you know, the problem with me. I put things off and then they never get done. Okay. My snapdragon seedlings have been dampening off and systematically dying this year for some reason. Any suggestions on a substitute that could get going this late? Yeah, so I messed up my Snapdragons pretty bad this year, which is a bummer because I love Snapdragons. I'm gonna start Snapdragons now though. I'm gonna start Snapdragons now because I'll have them for fall, right? So I'm gonna be planting fall Snapdragons, like hopefully this week if I can find the time. You know, and the great thing about that is for you, if you're struggling with them dampening off, because usually that's like a fungal disease from the cooler weather, right? Cool, wet conditions. You can get like the fusarium and the botrytis and like all these different molds and funguses that can like really attack things, and you can get them outside as well as getting them inside in the growing spaces. I find in my fields I don't have many funguses because we have no humidity here, but in the greenhouses, because it brings up the humidity, they are more susceptible to it in the spring. So it's a hard one. But yeah, you could still start Snapdragons now, have them for the fall. But yeah, like, because it's the spike, the line, right? So, other things that I use in the same way as the Snapdragons is like the amaranth I kind of use in a similar way, where it's like something that creates like a linear look in the bouquets. But they're not as good as the Snapdragons. The Snapdragons are so great. Like for earlier, there's like stalk kind of has the similar look, larkspur, but we're getting kind of late in the year for that. Yeah, it's a hard, that's why I love Snapdragons so much, right? Because they're kind of, they're great, right? They're exactly what I want always. And I can't really think of anything that replaces them and does exactly what is so wonderful about the Snapdragons. Makes them so fun to work with. The summer starts to be a lot more of like the rounds, the discs. But grasses like millets, they kind of have that same kind of put that linear shape in the bouquets. Yeah, I'm sorry that they all died on you. It's hard, right? It's hard when you put all this work in and then they don't. Oh, sorry. This tripod rattles a bit. Someone's saying you can cut off the pollen and... Oh, I thought they were saying... Okay. I thought someone was saying that if you cut off the pollen, it gets rid of the fragrance. And I was like, I don't know. I've done that and they still smell. But... Okay, let's see. Maybe I'm going to catch up with you guys. Glads. Yeah. Jennifer. Glads. Glads are a great substitute for that same look as the snaps. Except for the problem with Glads is they're so big, right? I wish it... So when I buy Glads, and we're like tonight, we're going to film my Glad unboxing, and I'm going to go over this in the video. But so there's, from the place that I buy my Glads, there's 3 different sizes. There's like jumbo, number 1 and number 2, and so that is how big the corms are, and the bigger the corms, the bigger the flowers, right? And so for me, as wanting them as cut flowers instead of like being impactful in the garden, I always buy the smallest size. I always buy the number 2s because I want the flowers to be the smallest. I want the spikes to be the smallest, because the closer they can get to looking like Snapdragons, the happier they make me. And those big jumbo garden ones, the ones that like so many people say that they don't like in bouquets, because they remind them of like funeral flowers, they're great for doing like installations, right? Like funeral flowers, these things where you want this big mass, right? Like it's something that's very big and very impactful. The smaller corms, they make it so that they're like this big, like the flower stems, instead of like this big, and it makes them a lot easier to work with. Yeah, so that's a great idea. What floral combinations are you looking most forward to this season? Yeah, so I mean, I like them all, right? It's one of the things that I like the most about working with flowers, only flowers that I grow myself, is that the flowers are then like, Bo's here, he's knocking the tripod over. The flowers are from a specific time and a specific place, right? And so here on the farm, I'm always trying to grow things that are the best adapted to my growing conditions, partially just to make things easy for myself, right? Our goal here is to create something that is attractive and quick for me to make, with flowers that are easy enough to grow that I can keep the price point down, right? So my goal in the farm is to grow the things that grow the easiest, because the things that grow the easiest are the things that make it so I can stay with this more grocery store price point, right? If I was doing wedding flowers, now I'd be like, okay, now I have to grow specific things that people are specifically asking for, and then I'd be fussing, like, oh, I'm gonna like work really hard to fight against this flower hating how hot it is. I'm gonna give it this cool spot and baby it, so I can get these very special flowers that I only have a handful of, go into these very special bouquets. Oh, he's very cute when he rubs on this tripod, but it knocks the camera over and it makes the thing shake. Come up here, Bo. Come up here. Come hang out. Yes, but so because I'm always trying to get the things that are the easiest to grow, and it means that everything's kind of adapted to being very specific to my growing region, right? So it very much is of a place, right? And so what I have and what I grow and what I work with, it is very uniquely adapted to the Okanagan, right? Like it would be very difficult for someone with like cool, wet weather, like someone from the UK, couldn't necessarily easily have the bouquets that I have. So it changes the look of everything. And then, the season changes so quickly with the flowers. So much of my stuff is only around for 2 or 3 weeks. And so every week the flowers are totally different, right? Because it'll be, oh, this came into season this week as this thing's going out. They're constantly changing and constantly evolving. But at the same time, they're always, they're of a real moment in time. They're of a real place and a real moment. And I think like one of the things that I don't like about the look of like more traditional florist flowers is to me it all feels very artificial. And I feel this way too about food, right? Like I'm not buying fresh strawberries from the grocery store in the winter. I'll buy frozen fruits and veggies out of season, but I very much shop for food, the veggies that are of a season, and then for me it makes it so that when strawberries are in season, strawberries are such a treat, right? And and they taste better too, because they're being grown in the conditions they're supposed to be grown in. And so what I eat throughout the year is constantly changing in the same way that what the flowers are constantly changing, and that's natural and that's normal. That's how the world actually works. And so for me, like, so much of the beauty of the flowers and so much of the fun of the combos that I do is being able to capture that. And so, like, I don't put a lot of thought into it ahead of time, right? Like, what the thought that I'm putting into in the planning isn't the combos. The thought that I put into it in the planning is just having things, right? And then I put them together with what I have, right? Because the weather's going to change what's going to bloom at what time. But I do think of colors, right? And so, tropical fruit punch is like my favorite is my favorite color theme, which for me is like an orange and a fuchsia and like lime greens, right? Like those colors mixed together, like just very, very like startling color contrasts. Is like what I really like to work with. It makes the brights look brighter when you pair them with like opposites of the color wheel. So I plan for that. I'm like, I want blue, and if I'm gonna have blue, I also want yellow and orange to go with blue. So I have colors that I like, so I always grow them in those colors. And then there's colors that I see people asking for or I see selling well and I sell out of. So then I try to bring in more of those colors. Like I've been working on bringing in more pink because there's been more demand for pink than what I've been supplying. And then I try to listen to other people, right? Ian's saying he wants stuff with reds. I don't like red. It's not a color that I go to. But so I hear him. I'm like, okay, he wants more red. And I've played with reds in the past, and I found that like red, blue, and white, like I'm like, oh, that's a fun color palette, but it doesn't sell. So I'm like, okay, I can't do red that way, and red and white doesn't sell. But I do sell well like red, orange, and yellow together, especially in the fall. That's like a very popular fall palette with brown mixed in. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going off. Let's see if I can catch up. Color scheme palette that you've planned. Yeah, so that's kind of answering that, right? So yeah, so always lots of orange, bringing in more pinks. Basically, like my goal is to try to, Liz is here. I don't know if she's still here. I don't know what time it is, but hello, Liz. I got a package from you. I've been meaning to send you a message. Liz, she wrote another book. She wrote a new book, and she sent me a copy of it, and it got lost. It has all this like writing on the package, so it showed up. It showed up a couple weeks ago, and I've been losing my mind. So it's been on my list of things to contact you and tell you I got your beautiful book. But yeah, so I don't know if she's still here. First year selling at farmers markets. Any tips? Okay, so yes, I definitely have advice. My first piece of advice is it worth going to the farmer's market? This is like the devil's advocate. Because I think a lot of flower farmers go to the farmer's market without a plan. And so you should go with intention. And a lot, like we were saying at the beginning of this video, like there's a farmer's market that's close to us, and there isn't a flower farmer selling at it, but I don't think that we should go to it, right? So there's lots of farmers markets that don't have flower farmers at it, and there's a reason. It's not that they don't have a flower farmer at it because there's an opportunity. It's because it's a waste of time to go sit there with your flowers because they just don't sell enough volume. When we started our plan was always to go to the farmers market, but we have an incredibly strong farmers market to sell at, and we went with a plan. The plan was, we're not going to sell very much in our first year, but we know how much can sell at this farmer's market. And so we're going to build towards selling that amount by like building up a customer base, right? So in that first year of selling at the farmer's market, the plan was, in our first year, we didn't even get into the farmer's market we wanted to get into. So we spent the first year being like, hey, if there's ever an opening, like if there's ever space on a Wednesday, we'd love to come. And so we ended up like sneaking in on these days when it didn't make sense for other farmers to go, right? There was like finally space, and then that led to us having a foot in the door for the market, which then led to us eventually now being able to be like a permanent vendor at the market. But the plan was always, okay, we know this market can sell. We know the market can sell $1,500 on a Saturday. We know the market can sell $1,000 on a Wednesday. because the plan for the business from the beginning was the business needs to make $100,000, right? That's, we started with the wanting to make $100,000 from the beginning, because farms only profit about a third of their gross sales, and we wanted to make enough that it would make sense for me to do it instead of for me to go and get a minimum wage job. And so to do that, I had to make $30,000. And so to make $30,000, I had to sell $100,000. And so to sell $100,000, we had 25 weeks. This is like condensed, like everything I rant about all the time. But to sell that, we had 25 weeks that we could sell. So it means we had to sell $4,000 a week. So that means we had to aim for being able to in some way do $4,000 a week. And we have a super strong farmers market, so that's $1,500 on the Saturday, $1,000 on the Wednesday, and then $1,000 on farm sales, either in the form of a CSA or the roadside stand. We knew we had a great location, so that was always the plan from the day one. But we knew that going to the market in our first year, we weren't going to sell $15,000 on Saturdays. We knew that we had to work towards that. And so, it was about building a customer base is what we were doing in our first year. And so when we were not selling, when it was like, oh, we sold $750, it's like, okay, well, that's good. We're working towards achieving our goals. During that day, we had someone come back and say, oh, I tried your stuff and it was great, and I came back to buy it again, right? We were working on building regular customers. And then in our third year, we finally were producing enough because we had an employee. Third year, we were like getting established into the farmers market. And what happened was we weren't getting $1,000 sales on the Saturday. We were there on the Saturdays. We weren't selling $1,000. We weren't seeing an increase in sales over what the sales had been the year before, right? And so we knew that farmer's market had to sell $1,500 for our business plan to work. And we knew it could sell $1,500 because we're familiar with other people who sell there. So what we did is we changed the farm. That's when we started doing the flowers, because we're like, what we're doing doesn't work. But yeah, I know that this is like off topic, but what I'm saying is first year, so it's your first year at a farmer's market, go with a plan, right? And if you're seeing that things aren't progressing the way they should for your plan, be open-minded to pivoting. Because you can't, if you go with a plan and it's looking like the plan isn't going to work, you need to change things, or else you'll get stuck just doing the same thing that isn't successful. And then year 3, you'll get really frustrated. It'll stop being fun. Year 3, it'll be a slog, and you'll still be losing money, and you won't see any way that the business is going to be successful, and then you'll stop farming. And this is a pattern that is like very, very, very common, right? The first year, it's like all fun. It's all excitement. Year 2, you start to realize how much work it is, for the lack of success. And then year 3, it's still hard and you're over it, and you stop in year 3. That year 3 is like, like most farms quit at that point. So in year 1, your goal is to make a plan for how to get past that year 3 hurdle. And then the advice for more practical advice, not this esoteric ideas advice, is to make sure that you have everything. Ian has a checklist, and it's really important for us to be able to successfully do the farmer's market. The first times you go, you're going to forget really important things. So that's fine. Just remember for next time. We have a video too that we made years ago that are basics for how to sell at a farmer's market. And it goes over some customer service stuff. You want to talk with people, you want to be bubbly. It's a fine line between being like pushy and not selling. But like you want to err on the side of being pushy. You're better off to be like, buy this, hey, you over there, come over here and buy these flowers. For most people that feels so uncomfortable that you want to feel like you're doing that a little bit for most people, unless you have retail sales experience, and then just do what you already do. But yeah, so just be selling, right? And be honest with yourself about how difficult the day is. Right? It's a full day. It's an 8-hour day. Even if, like, when a market is 4 hours, there's setup and there's takedown and there's driving there and there's, and in addition, there's all the prep. So if you're going to the market and you're only selling like $100, maybe you're better off to spend the day on social media, right? Like spend a day talking, like making ads on your buy and sell groups in social media, being like, oh, I have flowers available, here and there. Like, sometimes that's a lot stronger than the farmer's market. But when you're there, take all the opportunities you can to like network, and farmers markets can be great, and we love them, right? Like we do them because we love doing them. But they also can be not great. They can be a really difficult place to actually have a profitable business. And until you kind of, there's, at the farmer's market, there's a lot of people who say that they're very successful, but then I'll watch and it's like they're not selling very much, and it makes me wonder, like is it actually successful? Are they actually paying themselves for the time? And it's like I want everyone to make it past that year 3 hurdle. I want everyone to feel like their businesses are worth their time. I don't want anyone to, bleed all the passion out of what they enjoy doing and what they want to put their energy into. But it can be hard, and you have to you have to be very honest with yourself to do that, right? So I know that's probably not the answer that most people would give to, like, it's my first year at the farmer's market. It's all just like kind of weirder things, but the other advice is very easy to get on the internet, right? If you're like, what are all the things I need at the, like, checklists, go on ChatGPT and be like, ChatGPT, can you make me a checklist of all the things I should bring to the farmer's market to, like, be able to have a successful selling day, right? And it'll generate you a list, taking all the blog articles of everyone who's ever written, like, about how to do it at the farmer's market. Okay, let's see. Would you do it all again? Yeah, definitely. Right? Like, the thing about, like, I'm not going to sit here and say at this point that the farm is a success, right? Like that's part of the reason why we make those like how much money I made videos, right? The reason why we make those is because we want people to know like the realities, right? Because like a lot of the social media, it's easy to see and it's like what I was saying about the farmer's market, right? Where people are like, oh, this is like, it's going great, right? Because like you kind of have to say it's going great, even if it isn't, because that's marketing, right? And so, and it is like, I always feel like things are going great. Like it's fun for me to like work and to make all these flowers and, to go and sell them, right? Like, so in our videos, it's a lot of work, and we want that to be in the videos, that it is a lot of work, but we also, like, we feel like it's a success at the end of the week, And so we want to share that feeling with you guys too. We want you guys to be in on like yeah, we did it. We made another market done. We sold all this money. But the flip side to those videos is the reality of like not making any money. Right. And the flip side of those videos is the reality that like these videos like is what actually makes us money. The YouTube is what pays our family's bills. And the farm the hope is that eventually it will make me $30,000 worth of profit on the $100,000 that I sell. But it's year 5 and it's not going to do that this year, right? Like this year revised goal is to be at 0. Like if I can be at 0 with having an employee, I'll be very happy. And so I know that doesn't come across in the week to week videos. So I want that to be context for people, because I have a lot of people who tell me, "Oh, Serina, you inspired me to start a flower farm." And I want to be like, "Well, wait, have you seen the videos where I say I don't make any money? Have you just because I want you to be prepared for that going in, so that you can have a plan for how you're going to pay your bills. I don't want anyone to be financially struggling because of how much fun I make flower farming look. What was the question? Would I do it all over again? So where I am at now, I can't say that the farm still makes sense to say that it is going to exist forever, right? It's not, the farm isn't a success yet. But I also went into it with the knowledge that the farms really aren't short-term successes. They are the type of thing that you kind of do need to invest into. And there's lots of things that I could have done to make it so that I'm further along in the success lane. But I'm not. Oh, thanks so much, Farmer Chick. Sending great vibes for a productive 2023. Yeah, me too. Right? I know people freak out when I say like my goal is to like make 0 on the farm. But it every year, our sales goal for this year is $75,000, right? So that's a lot of money to be coming in. And the reason why we're hitting 0 is not because I'm putting dollar bills into a chipper shredder. It's because I'm building things that cost a lot of money. So I'm investing, right? And so some investments are not long-term investments, like the tulips, right? So we spent $8,600 on tulips, and tulips are probably going to be a 0 for this year. I'm probably not going to make any money, and I'm not going to pay myself for the work that I'm doing on tulips this year because it's so bad for tulips. But there's other things, right? Like every time we spend, we're $15,000 deep in irrigation supplies, but every year I'm getting closer to having a fully self-sufficient irrigation system that will just continue to pay for itself, year after year after year, right? I buy perennials, I put them in, really big expense that we made this year is we ordered $10,000. Or I think it was more. I think it was more like $12,000. I don't know. I spent so much money I can't remember. No, maybe it was still $10,000 because there was a discount and covered tax. I don't know. We'll figure out when I do the unboxing in the fall. But I bought $10,000 worth of peonies. And that's a lot of money, right? That's the reason why it's going to be 0 this year. And peonies, you don't harvest off of you don't start selling peonies from the peonies that you spent $10,000 on until year 3. But in year 3, you start to make money, right? And so, sorry, it's very loud. I can't hear myself, so I'm assuming you can't hear me. Yeah, so in year 3 with the peonies, sure, you spent all the money to buy $10,000 to buy the peonies. It's going to cost me like $2,000 in landscape fabric because I'm going to plant them all into landscape fabric. It's going to cost me like $1,500 to set up an irrigation system for them. I'm going to have to spend 2 years worth of labor, like taking care of them. And then we're going to get to year 3, right? And there I'm going to be $20,000 deep on investing into peonies, but having a field of 1,200 peonies, in year 3, if I only pick 3 peonies off of them and I sell them for $5 each, then I'll have 3,600 peonies that if I sell them for $5, like that right there, like my money's going to start to come back, and then in year 4, now maybe I'm going to have $20,000 worth of peonies in a year, right? So, there I am in year 5, right? And now I have money that I can make it so I can finally like make some money for myself to get to that $30,000. And also I don't have to spend the $10,000 on the peonies every year. I've already done it. So like I've been building something. I've been, I refer to the farm as my baby, right? Like the farm is like my third child, and it's like children, right? You have to invest into them. And when they're really little, you have to invest a lot. You have to invest so much of yourself into like babies and toddlers that like you really suffer, right? You like the investment that you make into very small children puts you into the negative, right? You spend more than you have on very small children, and then they get bigger and they get easier, right? But you're still investing so much of yourself into them that maybe you're not getting a surplus over the energy that you invest in, but you can't because you have no shirt on. Okay, so you can't. My child it's hot, so he's running around in just shorts, but
Bobo.
Yeah. Yeah, so you invest into like and I think this is what I'm saying about the farm is very true about small businesses, right? You invest, you feel like you're giving everything that you have and you're getting nothing back. And then all of a sudden, like one day you realize that things are easier and it's into a rhythm, and you're like, oh my God, how did my kid get so big? Right? And one of these days you you wake up and your kid has like made you breakfast, right? And it's like, what? You can like make breakfast?
I make pancakes.
Well, you not on your own, but
I can make the batter.
But you're getting pretty close, right?
I can make the batter. I've made it before.
Yeah, no, and every year you learn more things, right?
You just don't allow me to cook.
Well, yeah, because it needs to be supervised. But and then
my teacher said
with a business,
if you're like, put your hands up if you like mom lets you use a toaster or even the microwave. I use the microwave. I started using the toaster when I was like 5.
So did anyone else use the toaster in the microwave?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started using a toaster when I was like 5.
Yeah, but no oven and no stovetop without help. Not yet. But one of these days you will. Yeah, but so you have this business and you invest in yeah, no, because that's hot. That's the same as the oven. You invest and then but you're building, like with children, you're building for something that's going to be long term. And you're building the business to be able to have independence once they grow up. You know, and so, you know, with a farm, that's the goal too. And, you know, so, you know, I don't mind, right? Because this is all, yet again, this is a very esoteric answer to, like, you know, would I do it again? So I don't know that it is going.
Have another child. I want a baby
not
sister.
Happening. That I can guarantee is not happening. Yeah. So I don't know
Make
that.
me a child.
Okay, go inside. I'm almost done, and then I'm leaving. Yeah. So I don't know that the farm is a success yet, right? And so I can't say that everything that I did with the plan, because I'm aiming for success. The plan is for it to be a success. So I can't tell you right now.
LOL.
Okay, Leah, it's hard. Let me finish this because I do have to go. Yeah, so I can't say to you, going back, and because you can go back and look at the videos and see everything that I did. I can't say to you that what I've done is a path to success. But I don't regret what I've done, right? It's been enjoyable.
Yes, make me a child. Make me a child.
Not happening.
Fix it.
I'll make you another business. Right?
Make me another cat.
I'll make you another business.
Make me money.
You have to be successful at your business, and then it will make you money.
I need that business.
Leah started a business. She started a card business.
And then I gave up on it.
And then she gave up on it. But now they're all in. They got a rock tumbler for Christmas. So they want to make sea glass jewelry. To make money.
No, I got it for Sam for Christmas.
Yeah, but
me.
Well, we
your
bought
money,
it. We
but
bought
me.
It. Yeah, it was from you. But I did it.
Like $100.
But I did it because I knew that both of you would like it, and I told you when you bought it that you guys would share it. Anyways.
Yep. Make
okay,
money.
go inside.
No.
Okay, then you can't read me the story. Go inside. I'm gonna be in there in 2 minutes. I just need to finish what I'm saying, and then I need to go. Leah, listen. Okay, go.
No, I'll be quiet.
So, okay. So what I'm saying is, what I've done isn't necessarily a success, but I don't regret having started the business. And even if the business doesn't turn out to be a success, it's been fun, and like I'm proud of what we've built. So like, yeah, like. But it's like, would I start a farm again tomorrow? Like I'd do things different, right? Like, and if I went back in time, like, I don't know, right? It's kind of like I always say, like, oh, if I went back in time and I was like 20 again, like,
have me.
What would I do?
Only have me. Don't have Sam.
And the answer is, I'd invest into property, right? Because I'd buy Bitcoin when it was $100, and I'd invest into property, and I'd have money. And then it's like, okay, but if you had money,
then you'd have me.
Yeah, sure, and we'll have you. But
not
and then
Sam. No, not
yeah,
Sam.
we'll have Sam too.
No.
But then if I had money, like, then what I do?
You have money.
And it's like, or like if we won the lottery, we were talking about this the other day. Oh, what would you do if you won $10 million?
I would buy a time traveler. I would go back in time when I get money. I'd get money, more and more money. That's how Mr. Beast gets money.
With a time machine?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's your theory. But yeah, if all of a sudden I had
infinite money loop.
If I had if I had an infinite money loop, I wouldn't necessarily stop doing this because we do this because we like it.
Yay!
Right?
I would still go to the same school. Yay!
Yes. And if I stopped liking it, then I would stop doing it. Right? And I think,
what do you mean?
Okay, just quiet, please. Okay? Like, if I think that there's no point regretting things that you've done in the past, but you should be self-aware of your feelings when moving in the present so that you can successfully move into the future, right? And if all of a sudden days on the farm were like very hard, and if there was like no joy in doing this, then it would be time to stop. Right?
Would you move, but you'd still save and stay in Lake Country, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Then we'll move to not the farm. Or what we would do if we stopped farming, what we would do is we'd be a content farm. I tell Ian this all the time. I'm like, if we stopped farming professionally, we'd just be a content farm.
What's
and
that?
A content farm is a farm that exists purely for the purpose of making content. And I don't know if this is a real term.
We can make this
right? And then we could just we could make beautiful gardens. I could spend my day gardening just to make it look beautiful. Right?
And
make videos about it.
I could sell them.
We could have the roadside
And
stand,
then
but
I
only
could
we just put in case.
I could make money. No, it's my money.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah, you could have the roadside stand and it could be your business.
Yeah.
Right?
Me
and I could grow veggies and I could give them to the farmers market I could just donate them all to the farmers market. I don't have to sell anything.
Donate to the food bank.
Oh yeah, I was saying farmers market, but I meant food bank. I could just grow food and bring it. Yeah, I'd be garden answers.
And then we get
I'd
cookies.
landscape my yard to look like garden answers.
And then we get free cookies.
And then I would have I'd have a small veggie farm where I would grow things purely for the food bank.
And then we get
and
free
all
cookies.
my crop decisions would be stuff that like keeps really good so that it works really good for donating
and then
to the
free
food
cookies.
bank. Yeah. Well, we'd probably be able to make enough since we make all of our money making YouTube videos. And then the farm would look so good because we'd be a content farm.
Free money.
Then we'd make even more money and then we could buy cookies.
I know, but the free cookies taste better.
The free cookies taste good.
Yeah, there's like smiley ones are like the best.
I know. Cookies given to you have love in them. And so that makes them taste better. Okay, I have to go because I have to put this child to bed. And it's like
I'm not
been
child.
a million hours.
The library said I was a preteen.
You're a preteen?
The library said.
Oh yeah? You got to read chapter books to be a preteen.
I read chapter books.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Okay, so 4 videos. We're working on trying to get a video out midweek. And then we have a vlog about the heat wave for the weekend. Right? So we're filming this Glad video and we're going to try to get that out soon, and then we have another vlog, and then the week after that we're gonna finally have our Mother's Day vlog out so you can get all the details. And the markets looked amazing, so you should be excited for it.
Money,
but yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Goodbye,
and we'll
people.
see you guys next time.
Bye.